My name is John Schmitt. I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Central Islip. I went to Seton Hall High School in Patchogue and then on to Hofstra University, and from there to the New York Jets. Playing football in 1964, I was signed as a free agent with the New York Jets for a remarkable salary of $8,500. You got to understand, the center that just retired, Nick Mangold, his first contract was for 7 years for $56 million. So things have changed since 1964. Oh, it was great. It was a dream. You know, I couldn't even dream it, to be honest with you. I never dreamed of playing professional football. I just lucked out into it. And then to play with Joe Namath and all the people that I played with, the greatest guys that ever played football, both with and against, and then winning the Super Bowl, and which is a miracle. I mean, so few people get a chance to play in the Super Bowl. You know, there were a number of teams that got to the Super Bowl and lost. So we only got there once, but when we got there, we won the game, and that's the greatest part of it, especially when Joe Namath guaranteed we win, even though we were 21-point underdogs. So it was a very, very special game and very, very special win for us. We got our Super Bowl ring in the summer of 1969, and in 1971, in the off season, I went with my wife to Hawaii. Don Ho was a great Hawaiian singer, and he was my buddy. He kept on egging me on to try and get out on the surf and on the surfboard. So I went with him, and you know, he's a little guy. He was only like 5.5 feet tall, and so he got an 8-foot board, so I got an 8-foot board. I had no idea, so we swim all the way out, about a quarter mile out. Then we catch a wave, and he jumps up on the board, and I get on my board and sinks. So I had to go all the way back in. I got a 10-foot board. Same thing happened. We went all the way back out, and caught a wave, and it sunk. So I finally got a 14-foot tandem board, and I finally got on that, and they were making fun of me. They called me Johnny Wipeout, you know. So when I got on that board, I told them what I thought of them. And then when we got on the beach, and I'm dragging the board back to the shack that I rented it from, I noticed that my Super Bowl ring wasn't on my finger, and I wanted to die. I went in, I got flippers and a snorkel, and I went out and I dove, and I nearly drowned. I dove until I couldn't swim anymore, and that was it. I didn't find it. It was lost. It was gone. I was without the ring for 8 months, and when you wear it every day, as I do, you feel like you're naked without it, you know, and it was a terrible feeling, but that's the way. I finally got another one. 2 years later, a lifeguard, that's now 1973, a lifeguard was snorkeling in the water. He saw something glitter, and he dove down and dug my ring out of the sand. That he brought it home and stuck it in a little box, which I have here, and put it in a shoe for 38 years and died. And his niece went over to empty out his apartment, and she went over there, and she's putting everything together, and she went into his closet and threw out the shoes. Luckily, the box fell out of the shoe. They opened up the box, but now they're 4th generation Hawaiians, so they don't know what this ring is, even though it says Super Bowl on it. They didn't know what it was. They went to, but their aunt owned a jewelry store in Honolulu, so they brought it there. And she said, "Oh, that ring, those diamonds are real," but she didn't know what the ring was. And then she had a friend at ESPN in Honolulu. This took weeks, so she went to ESPN, and the man there said, "Oh, that's a Super Bowl ring. That's John Schmitt. He was Joe Namath's center." They said, "Wow, it's so long ago. He's probably dead." He said, "Well, maybe not." So that he gave them the number of the NFL headquarters in New York, and they called there, and they gave them the number of the New York Jets headquarters, and they called there. And then the Vice President, Bob Parente, he called me. I was home here. It was a Thursday night, and he said, "Schmitt, are you sitting down?" I said, "Yeah, I'm sitting down." "No, is he really sitting down?" I said, "What's the big deal, Bob?" He said, "Yeah, I'm sitting down." He said, "Well, the big deal is that a lady in Honolulu says she has your Super Bowl ring that you lost 40 years ago." And I said, "Bob, there's no way. There's no way. Look, what do you want for the ring?" And they said, "Oh, we don't want anything. We just want you to have the ring." Something. So they said, "Well, if can you do a radio show over the phone with our friend at ESPN?" I said, "Sure." And he says, "And give my aunt some publicity at the jewelry store?" I said, "Sure." And I did that, and she became very famous. And he says, "We have a show called Lost and Found. He says, we'll bring the people in from Honolulu, and they can give you the ring in person. So I said, that's a deal. So they brought the people in the next week, and we shot for about 8 hours out here and at my country club. We went to dinner that night. The next day, the Jets had us to a game. It was a San Diego game. It was a beautiful day. We were 15 rows back from the field, 50-yard line seats, these director's seats, which we get all the food and drink. Their children had a ball. They got everything they could possibly get. And the Jets even came from behind and won the game. And then the next day they turned around and went home. And before they left, though, the father had a very deep voice, big man, he's 6'6", big eyes. You know, John, in Hawaii, we're now family, and families speak every week. So I expect to talk to you every week.
6 years later, every Thursday night we speak. And we've been out there, we visit with them, we spent 2 weeks with them. My son Tim went out and spent a week with them with his family. My wife's niece spent a week out there with her family and them. We're going back over in June for their daughter's graduation from college. So it's our extended family, but we talk every week, and they're just wonderful, wonderful people.